up, everybody? Welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. Now, I'm not sure. I just kind of doing this impromptu live stream because of, obviously, I'm sure if you're here on my channel, you've probably heard this news or heard something about it, about Spider-Man not being in the MCU no more. Oh my God, oh no! Sony's taking him back. We better all look out. This is the end of Spider-Man in the MCU. And, yeah, man, it looks like this is the end, man. Deadline said so, right? I mean, I'm not throwing shade at Deadline, but they've always been a pretty reliable source. But I've got to say, I just don't know about this story. I'm not exactly for sure what is going on here with this. Hopefully we find out more, because I got to tell you, I just read through this article that Deadline had put out, and I've got to tell you, there's really nothing, there's really no substantiating evidence in this article that we're not going to be getting Spider-Man in the MCU any longer. As far as we know right now, it's pretty much all rumor and speculation, and you can actually see that if you go and read the article. I will see about leaving and see if I can find where that article is at and drop a link for that, so you guys can check that out. But honestly, I went through and I read it, and I didn't see anything on there that really indicated that there's actually any truth to this. Now, like I said, I talk a lot about this stuff. I laugh about a lot of the websites and stuff, all the clickbaity information out there on the web. But I actually just got home from work earlier, and I seen that Josh from the Den of Nerds had actually, they started doing a live stream about this, and we're discussing this thing. It was something I hadn't heard anything about until I got until I got home, and I was checking out the Den of Nerds live stream. But I've got to say, I just don't see where there's actually any real information on this other than Deadline reporting this. And I've got to tell you that I just do not know about all this story. Now let me see if I can find this here for you guys. Let's see where we go here. I'll see if I can drop this down in the links if you guys want to take a look at this article. Like I said, me myself personally, I'm not going to sit here and read this whole dang article for you guys. I'm not going to insult your guys' intelligence in that way whatsoever. You guys can feel free to check out this link if you would like to. Go right ahead. I don't know about this, but what they do go on to say is that we obviously know that they've been in negotiations for quite a while with between Disney and Sony studios and everything regarding Spider-Man and just kind of the future of it. We've seen all these things kind of going on around it, and before anybody overreacts, I just got to tell you guys, go to the sources, go to where you're hearing this news at, and find out. And where this came from was Deadline, and I just dropped a link to the article there in the comments. Thank you all for being here once again. I hope you're all having a good day. Thank you all for anybody who made it out to my morning chat this morning. I do appreciate that support, but I seen this, and I wouldn't normally jump the gun on these kinds of things, and you guys can see I'm not one of the clickbaity guys out there who is trying to break all these news scoops. That's just, I started my channel out like that, by wanting to talk about these things. But this one right here is something I definitely wanted to jump the gun on, because I know there's other content creators out there who are going to jump the gun on this exact thing. And I just don't see any substantial kind of information. We've got to wait for the coming days before anybody really reacts to this, because like I said, Deadline they're a pretty reputable source. They're pretty good with their information and things like that. Kids going in and out. They're pretty good about not lying or anything like that, As far as I know, they've been a pretty good source, and I'm sure they have some legitimate sources as well. But again, if you go to the article, you can read in there that it says, a source of theirs, basically a friend of theirs, has told them this information. But you can scroll down to the bottom of that article, and it says very specifically in there, there's no comment or anything from Disney, Marvel Studios, or even Sony. So before we go out there, jumping the gun and getting all mad, saying, what the hell, what's going on, Spider-Man, and la la la. Guys, always go track down these stories. I can already see, other people are out there dropping videos and stuff, talking about this stuff, and they're probably saying the exact same thing I am. I didn't watch any of the videos. Like I said, I only seen the Den of Nerds talking about it. I hopped on to the last couple minutes of their stream and got to see it, and that's kind of how I came about this. I went and searched out this story to find out exactly who is on it. Um, okay, let me see here. um, Yeah, and that's the thing is these guys, like I said, in the past they've been they're a pretty good source for any of this kinds of stuff, and I just don't know. I just don't know that there's any truth to this yet that we know of yet. I went through and I read this article, and it's just basically a lot of fluff. It's a guy who's saying that he heard from a source. Okay, that's my neighbor next door, my neighbor that lives right next door to me. He's a source. All he had to do was come tell me something like that. Okay, and it's easy to stir this pot of rumors and things like that because we can clearly see that there has been negotiations going on in the MCU in the first place with any of these with any of this kind of news. Because we know they've been in negotiations. They've been talking. We heard that story not too long ago about Kevin Feige and just having control over Spider-Man for the next few films. If this film doesn't make gross $1 billion, and which I always kind of thought that was come on, what's going on with this thing? I always thought that was kind of a silly story because when it comes down to it, Sony was responsible for marketing the Spider-Man movie. They're the ones who spent the money to go out there and market this movie, who put it all over pizza boxes, who put it all over cereal boxes, who put it everywhere in everybody's face. They were the ones busy promoting it. So if they didn't want it to make money, didn't want it to make $1 billion for Kevin Feige to have control over the over this series, for the next couple movies or whatever, they wouldn't have done all that. Okay, sure, they would have went out and promoted the movie anyway, but they wouldn't have put such a push behind it. If a lot of this stuff was the case. So that makes me kind of question a bunch of this stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and get in here into the chats and see what anybody has to say. Okay, yeah, Russell Wells, I just got your message here. I think I need to turn on some of my stuff for updating this stuff. But yeah, again, Steve, welcome to the live stream. Nathan Begame, welcome. Russell, welcome to the live stream. Lord Callis, the Senate, hope you're all having a good day. Cynical Centrist, I hope you are all having a good day. Let's see. Nathan Begame is saying, "What the hell?" Russell's like, "I'm furious." Nick furious. I'm tired of these motherfucking rumors on the internet. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why anytime I see one of these stories, I always go and try to track down the source of this. Like I said, I didn't get to really check out Den of Nerds live stream that they did. They were on. It looked like they were probably on for maybe about a half hour. Because as serious of a story as this is, it's probably really nothing. Right now, all we have is smoke signals, and most of the time when there's smoke, there's fire. But again, this is only coming from the one source, and I can guarantee you every other source you're going to find out there is going to be, going back to this source at Deadline, okay? And this guy at Deadline, I can't even remember the gentleman's name, who it is, who went and wrote this story, doesn't list a source. So that in itself tells me one of two things. It tells me, one, he could have been talking to his neighbor next door, or maybe the guy sitting in the cubicle right next to him. Somebody says, "Oh, hey, well, this and that. Let's just start. Let's just, you're just setting the internet afire with rumors." Now, I'm not saying, like I said, they have been reputable in the past. They're pretty. It's a pretty good publication, I guess, as far as knowing some of these things. But again, that doesn't by any means mean that they couldn't get somebody that is messaging them or anything like that, saying, feeding them full of crap. So, I mean, let's just be careful where we're going at here, and that's kind of the one thing I wanted to do, talking about this, like, oh, guys, hold up, let's just see what's going on in the coming days, because there's no official word from anybody, there's no official word. Like, sure, Deadline is an official word from Deadline, but they're not directly linked to Marvel Studios, to Disney, or even Sony, so let's just completely rule that out. Nathan But Game says, honestly, I've never heard of Deadline. Well, they're a publication. They do a lot of talking, write a lot of articles just about movies and things like that in general. Honestly, I don't really follow them, but like when it comes to stories like this, I go and I'll seek out their information. And as far as I know, they're a pretty good source for this kind of information. But again, that doesn't mean that every single person that they have writing for them has an inside source. That everybody has an inside source. It's just a little silly if you ask me. But again, guys, just go read this article. Go read this article. I just dropped it there in the comments. I'll go ahead and drop it again for any of you guys who didn't catch it. Feel free to go on there and check it out. Again, just read through the story. You can see the guy's he's really just presenting a whole lot of fluff. So, well, I hate to say that it's not true, because I honestly at this point I don't know. Nobody really does, neither, until we actually hear from Disney and Marvel. It's just something that we need to. It's something we need to talk about, especially because what would that mean for the MCU? I mean, we could see that they obviously had a deal inked in the first place, and that's what we need to talk about. Was they obviously had a deal in the first place when they signed up for X amount of movies when they did this. So I mean, I'm sure they could modify those contracts. They could backpedal and back out of them, and I'm sure there's all kinds of legal mumbo jumbo that goes along with that. But again, guys, this I just don't know how seriously to take this. Again, let's see. Lord Callus, welcome to the stream, cynical centrist. Honestly, never. Okay, here we go. The Senate says I'm waiting for Bounding into Comics to cover it. They're actually smart. You know what? Fuck Bounding into Comics. They're a bunch of fucking bullshitters too. They're fucking clown shoes. Just like we got this covered. Just like any of most of these other clickbait articles. Fuck Bounding into Comics. Okay, these guys have their heads up their ass just as much as anybody else. Fuck them. Don't even pay attention to them. I guess I better mark this thing for age appropriate now, huh? But yeah, Bounding into Comics, they're not a reputable source. If anybody's more reputable, it's going to be Deadline. Because I can guarantee you're going to go read an article from Bounding into Comics. You know where they're going to get their information from? Deadline. That's where their information is coming from. The same article I just dropped in here in the links twice. Go read them. They're the ones who broke this story. You don't need to wait for Bounding into Comics or any fucking bullshit person there to fucking flap their gums or time to sit there and fucking type out a whole thing. Just go to the source. Just go to the actual source. I dropped it right here in the comments twice now. Just go to the actual source, see who broke this story. You can see it's Deadline. There's nobody else that broke this story. It's Deadline. It's Deadline. It's some guy writing for Deadline. It's got his head up his ass. Maybe. I don't know. It's just some guy sitting at a computer writing a story. He don't have his head up his ass. I'm sorry there. I'm just going on here. But again, he's just some guy writing a story for publication. Bounding into Comics, they're gonna go get their same story from the same spot. They're full of shit. Fuck Bounding into Comics. Okay, the Senate says, I hope they keep Tom Holland, though he's hot. Oh yeah, Tom Holland. He's a twink. Yes, he's tiny. Oh wait, that's bear talk. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, obviously, and again, I think if anything, they probably still have movies on their contract that they did with when they originally inked this deal anyway with Sony Pictures and everything. So they probably have some sort of obligations still out there to fulfill. So and again, contracts are one thing. They can always amend those. They can back out, and there's always stipulations of things that they can do. So but yeah, I mean, if anything, Tom Holland, I mean, even if it just goes back to Spider-Man, they would be smart to keep Tom Holland anyway, because Tom Holland, he's a good embodiment of Spider-Man. It's just, if you guys know me here on the channel, I like the Spider-Man movies, the ones we're getting. Best version of, I'd say probably Peter Parker we've gotten. It's just, this isn't the Spider-Man that we get in the comic books. So, I mean, yeah, overall, Tom Holland would be good. Nathan McGame says, Spider-Man does not well being produced by Sony, man. Yeah, and that's the thing. The original movies they did with Sam Raimi, those movies are great. They're classics. Now the thing is obviously by the third movie there was a lot of drama going on in there with that, where they tried to get him to force Venom in there and all of that kinds of stuff. Those first three, I mean, I still like those movies. I'm not ever gonna sit here and pretend like I don't. Now and if you know me, I actually like the other ones with Andrew Garfield as well. The only thing is they're not the best movies. To me, like the first one was actually pretty good. There's some elements in there I definitely like that they did. But overall, I mean, if you look at Amazing Spider-Man 2, that's probably the best, most comic accurate Spider-Man suit that we've had in any of the movies. So I do like that about them as well. But again, like, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. It's like story-wise, they just tried to cram too much in. But again, there's just a lot to be fulfilled, and again, these movies came out a number of years ago. So, and I think at this point, since basically the MCU has started, we've just slowly but surely gotten spoiled with how well our superhero movies are made and produced. So, I mean, there's that to take into consideration. Where they've basically come in and stepped up the whole game as far as the superhero genre is concerned. So, again, while I say but you're right. They don't do well. I mean, they do good, but they could do a lot better than what Sony has done with them in the past. Cynical Centrist says, "I loved Spider-Verse, and I thought Spider-Verse was great. I did like Spider-Verse. Now there are things that could be easily debated about this Into the Spider-Verse movie, but I myself, I did like the Into the Spider-Verse movie. Hell, I've got it on digital, or I mean even physical copy. Nathan Begame says, "Bro, serious comment. They're doing you like they do Eric July, bro. All the recommended videos are Peppa Pig and toy reviews." That's funny, man. That's funny that they do that, and that's probably why I need to go back here and make sure that I mark this thing for age appropriateness, because that I've probably going to be sitting here and cursing some more. I've already done quite a bit. Spider-Verse was amazing. Tom is my favorite Spider-Man. Tom is a great Spidey, and that's true. Tom he is Tom Holland is great at doing Spider-Man. Like I said, he fits the role of the classic Spider-Man that that came in the comics. But the only thing I don't like about the MCU Spider-Man is that this isn't the Spider-Man that we got in the comics. Obviously, I mean, whatever with Uncle Ben, we don't get any of that story. But then we see that he's like the Tony Stark kind of prodigy and stuff like that. He was never that, okay? I mean, obviously we see in the movie he was smart anyway, and he invents things and all kinds of things like that. But a lot of that stuff never came till later. Like, we're basically getting like the Dan Slott era of Spider-Man, where he has Parker Industries and all of those kinds of things, all the technology and all those things at his fingertips. And I honestly don't know enough about those particular comic books, but that's more of the Spider-Man that we're actually getting right now than the classic Spider-Man. The classic Spider-Man. Uncle Ben dies. He's just he's not necessarily a nerd or anything like that. He's just kind of a I don't know, just like socially awkward young teen, and that's just not the version we're getting in the MCU, and that's my one problem with it. Let's see. The Senate says Toby is king. And I like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man as well. I definitely like his Spider-Man. Let's see. Let's see. We gotta. Oh, it just jumped on me here. Man, I should have brought a moderator up in this piece. Let's see, Drunk 3PO, welcome to the live stream. Taking out live stream topics. No, not at all, dude. Believe me, my view is only one view of this. We're gonna sit down and have a discussion later. And if you guys don't already know, you guys should make sure that you tune in. Here in the next couple of hours over on Drunk 3PO's channel. He is here in the live chats. Make sure you go to his channel and subscribe if you're not already, because here in a couple hours we're getting ready to do a show called Some Black Guys and a Drunk, in which Drunk 3PO basically he's one of these kind of dudes. Like the stars aligned one day when this man went through and he put together this great panel of content creators where we get together and we discuss some of the latest topics regarding just things that are going on and just in our world, really, not just the movie industry or anything like that, just things that are going on. So you guys should definitely make sure you check that out. That is coming up here in a couple hours at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 8 p.m. Pacific Standard or Eastern Standard Time if you're out on the East Coast. So make sure you guys check into that. Again, Drunk 3PO, if you're in here, make sure, if you're still in here, make sure you drop a link for that, for your channel and even the live stream, so we can let everybody be aware of that, even though I just did, but an easy link for them. Bring back Toby for Venom 2, and that would be cool. I'm not against them doing crossover things with Spider-Man and Venom and all those kinds of things. As a matter of fact, I downright hope they do. I mean, we need to get Spider-Man and Venom together. Now the thing is, the tricky thing at this point is going to be, how are they going to do the Spider-Man and Venom when they've already got them in established universes, for one, but then we've already got Venom being Venom without ever having interacted with Peter Parker. So that's where some of the tricky stuff is going to come in at. So yeah, definitely. But Venom, as far as the movie itself concerned, I thought Venom was okay. It's not the worst movie. It was entertaining. I had a lot of fun watching Venom. It was a lot of fun. Drunk 3PO says why? No, dude, believe me, we've still got a lot to go through and talk about when it comes to this. When it comes to this on the on the live stream tonight. And again, you guys should go out there and check out some Black Guys and Drunk. It's a good time anytime that you guys show up to that. In case you guys don't know, whenever you come to a live stream, you guys, the viewers, are who make these live streams exactly what they are. Um, the Senate says it's so bad that it's good. Venom was a good movie, but a serious step back from Marvel's bar. And that's the thing. And that's the thing right there. I mean, something I already kind of covered there, Russell, is, we've been spoiled so far. We've been spoiled, absolutely, with a lot of these movies, with the job that Kevin Feige has done in the MCU. So let that be no mistake. We as fans have been highly spoiled by what we've gotten with the MCU. And you can see it, dude. I mean, you can see it all over. You see people talking about it. And, you got the people who, want to shun the MCU and don't want to like it. They're in favor of the DCEU and all this different stuff. That's fine. That's fine. You see people out there kicking down like the Dark Knight series and everything in favor of the MCU and all this stuff. I'm like, guys, it doesn't have to come to that. Okay, the MCU can be good, and so can the Dark Knight. The DCEU can be good along with the MCU. It's not about that. It's not about. We need as film fans, as geek fans of this same culture, we need all these things to do good anyway. So for us to ever wish that one of them does bad is absolutely ridiculous, whether you like them or not. You know what I mean? We need them to succeed so we can get more of them. But then, of course, there's always the argument out there that people are going to say, they're injecting politics and all this stuff into the movies, and that's a completely different argument. That's a completely different argument to be had. But again, yeah, just with all this stuff, man, I don't know. Like I said, we're just getting some smoke right now. There's really nothing that we have as far as actual substantial ability to this story. Michelle P, welcome to the stream. She says Holland is a better actor, not necessarily the best Spider-Man. I don't know. I think he's the best Peter Parker we've gotten. Just as far as the actual character of Peter Parker itself. Now, again, like I said, the Spider-Man that we got that we're getting in the MCU isn't my favorite Spider-Man by far. I think my favorite Spider-Man we've had so far is the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Just because that lore and that legend that they explored in those especially the first two movies, is really a lot more close to that classic Spider-Man that I like. He's swinging around New York. He's fighting in New York. He's doing things that are going on in New York. Now, what we don't really get much is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which is kind of what we got a little bit of in Homecoming, where he's just kind of swinging around the neighborhood, taking care of little crimes and things like that going on. That's what we need more of. Like that, along with like some of the stuff that they just like, there needs to be more of a mishmashing of it all, as opposed to what we're getting now. Spider-Man, like they just took Spider-Man and put him in his home for just a little while and then plucked him out and put him out in space and all of these different kinds of things. Hi, sweetie. And all of these different kinds of things as well. So but Holland, I do like him as an actor, but as far as like other things he's done, it's really hard to say. I mean, that's when we're really gonna have to sit down and compare a body of work. And obviously, people like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have a little bit larger catalog of films that they've done than Tom Holland, because Tom Holland, I mean, he's significantly younger than these guys, so his catalog is a little bit smaller. In other news, Tom Holland signs a deal with Marvel as Night Monkey. Right, yes, and that's what I'm saying. With one clickbait story is going to come another clickbait story following right behind it. So, yeah, and that's funny because that's gonna be the next thing that we're hearing about. Wookiee Lives Matter. Welcome to the stream, Kermit. Welcome. Russell Benjamin says, "Get him, call him out, bro." And it's not me calling him out. It's just when I see people who are full of it, I know who's full of it. When I see some of these websites, and believe me, I don't always go on all of these websites and check them out. It's just like what some of these websites they're new and they're popping up, and I notice a lot of them really cater to certain kinds of bias. It's just like regular news media. You got Fox News, you got CNN, you got MSNBC, you got all these ones who cater to their specific demographic demographic of people, if you will. You know, like but most liberals aren't going to sit there and watch Fox News. It's the same kind of thing. Russell says, preach. Don Draper says, I hope Drew Goddard reboots this character. Which what the Spider-Man character? The Spider-Man characters out. I'm guessing that's where we're going, since that's what we're talking about here. Kermit says, I love the passion. Who's good anymore? As far as publications, I mean, as far as good publications out there, I mean, none of them. You know, you got to go to the source of who actually breaks the story. And in this case, it's Deadline breaking the story. But again, you can go to them and they list, most of these places will list their sources. If you go to We Got This Covered and, you know, you read one of their little clickbaity stories, they usually put in there, like under one of their links, you know, you can click on a name, it's underlined, it's highlighted, or in some sort of way, or at the bottom of their page, they tell you exactly where they got the story from, who they heard it from, and things like that. So like I said, you go to this Deadline source and go to the Deadline article, and all it says for their source is, our sources say. Okay, they don't list who their source is. They don't have a source. It's not a link to another article. And that's usually what most of these places do. Like comicbook.com, We Got This Covered, Cosmic Book News, any of these places, they usually have a link down in somewhere in their articles of where they got the story from. And that's what you got to go look out for yourself. And that's not to say that, like I said, you can trace it back to Deadline. Deadline's the one who broke the story. But just because they broke the story, again, doesn't make them a credible source. Now, they've been right about a lot in the past, and they're not one of these typical clickbaity kind of websites, and that's what you've got to look for. That's what you got to look for is, you know, go through and you can find out for yourself, you know, and be your own judge of this stuff, but go and look at who the source is and where their sources are coming from. And if, you know, go back and look at a number of their articles and see if, you know, what they have said in the past has been true, or if they're just one of these, again, one of these clickbaity sites. Now, I know one of these particular sites that a lot of people get information from is MCU Cosmic. Okay, and MCU Cosmic is Jeremy Conrad, and I know that he recently, just after this story started to break, he actually even tweeted out that, you know, Deadline may have jumped the gun, you know, this and that. You can go find his tweet there on Twitter, where he says the exact same thing. Now, Jeremy Conrad is a guy, he must have somebody on the inside at Marvel who somewhat knows their stuff. Now, he's not the one who broke this story about the Spider-Man. He didn't really write about it. He only wrote an article that I didn't even read yet, because it actually just broke as I was getting ready to come on here and do this live stream, talking about them jumping the gun. And that's the thing you got to look out for, is he's out there probably doing something about exactly like what I'm doing right now, saying, look, this isn't true. We don't know that this is true yet. Just give it some time, people. Just give it some time. Let's breathe. Let's take a step back and realize that there's no official story. We haven't heard anything from Disney Studios, nothing from Marvel Studios, nothing from Sony Pictures. So let's just put that to rest right there. Don says, I hope you got to let's see where else, who's good, yeah, and who's good anymore. That's really hard to say. That, like I said, you got to go to the sources and find out who they are. Most of these guys are basically writing articles on somebody else's article. So to me, that's why I say a lot of these clickbaity sites, when you see a We Got This Covered or a Comic Book News, and they listen, go to their source. Because to me, when you see some of these people, and I've seen plenty of these people here on YouTube where they're sitting there going and reading the source, like, let's get in here and read this article. This article comes to us from the Mary Sue, or this article comes to us from, you know, Abounding into Comics. You know, go read that article. And that's the thing I'm telling you. I'm not saying don't ever go to these sources, but go to Bounding into Comics. Go to the Mary Sue. Go to wherever this story is being read from, and find out where they got their news from. Track the story down to its source, and that's where you're going to find out whether this kind of news is to be substantiated or not. And that's where it really comes from. And that's why I say you've got to go and do your research, people. And that's the one thing that a lot of these people do not do. As we can see, you know, earlier today, was this yesterday when we seen this story? Everybody was talking about the Russo brothers had went out there and said that what's this guy's name? Richard Rider. You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. Nova was actually in the Avengers Endgame. You know, and everybody goes and runs with the story, because everybody's got to be breaking the story. Everybody's got to break the story. We got to make our clickbait. We got to get the clickbait first, you know. You know, they're on their little keyboards. You know, they're here doing the same thing I am. You know, they're putting a live stream together. They're putting a video together. But the thing is, man, There's no real source to this news other than Deadline, and it's unsubstantiated as of right now. Now, as soon as we get there, we'll go into that. We'll go into that. And you know me here. I will dig into those kinds of things if you guys want me to. I'm not the person that's into that clickbaity bullcrap. I just don't buy into it. Like I said, I started my channel off somewhat like that, but it was more just presenting theories. But again, I never go to Reddit or anything like you see a lot of the other people who do the speculation going and doing it. I present my own theories. When there's a story out there, I'll go and I'll find, I'll read through the different publications and find out who it is, who broke the story, who wrote the story, or what is the story that everybody's running with. And that's the thing you guys have got to do when we hear these stories, because I'm telling you, a lot of these people are absolutely full of it. And Patriarch of the Sith, welcome to the stream. He says, I heard this from LB. Holy fuck, if it's true. Yeah, and yeah, I seen just before I was getting ready to get on here that LB did a video on that. I'm gonna go back and watch that. I'm a huge supporter of the Lonely Banter. Super cool channel. I like his stuff. The sentence says, tell us how you really feel. Russell says, hashtag pounding into comics. Hashtag full shit. Yeah, and that's the thing. And they're not always, the thing is like a publication like Bounding into Comics, they're not always full of it, because I'm sure they, like I said, I haven't really gone to them in search of things, because I know that they're one of these people who are just out there. They're out there writing stories, and there's nothing wrong with that, because they probably have some just like entertaining articles that they write, like opinion pieces. You know what I mean? I'm sure they have plenty of opinion pieces they do that makes them not just all clickbait. You know what I mean? I'm sure they have just just the people writing stuff like, hey, you know what? One of the things that I like about that's going on, and I'm sure they have that going on at their site too. So not everything they do, and that's, let me be very specific on that. When it comes to some of this breaking news is what I'm talking about, and with the clickbaiting. And again, if you guys know me, I don't have any problem with the clickbaiting, because we've got to get people to click on our videos. We got to get people to click on our news articles when we're just in those types of things. But when it comes to the certain types of news, that's what you've got to be careful of, and who you can really listen to when it comes down to this stuff. The Wookiees, Wookiee Lives Matters. Okay, everybody's talking to each other here. And again, welcome, Cynical Centrist. Mind if I, the sentence says, mind if I clip that Second Street? Do what you will, man. Do what you will. It's all good. I can already see some people being upset about me saying that, but it's it's just how I feel about it. I don't read any of those clickbaity things. I just happened to see a while back, Bounding into Comics started posting these articles. I'm like, great, man, here we go again. We got another one of these clickbaity websites, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what people do. That's what people do on the internet. Like if you want to build a presence on the internet, you start a website. What do? You start writing articles and about how you feel, and whether you're clickbaiting people. If you want to be a legitimate news source, chances are you'll want to actually go out there and not mislead people. And that's the sad thing about most of these publications that I find. And I've seen Bounding into Comics do that. I've seen them do the clickbaiting. And I'm talking about bad clickbaiting. When you get there and you read the stuff and you're like, this is fluff. This is all fluff. We know what fluffers do on the set of on movie sets, okay? Let's just put that out there. Patriarch says, how come you had time to shave your head but not your face? You must be mad. Yeah, man. I just wanted to shave the cul-de-sac into there. I wanted to shave the cul-de-sac into there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I need to shave too. I've been meaning to. It's just it worked out perfect for my video yesterday. Patriarch, that's funny, dude. Oh man, that Bound Comics was good. Oh man, I know I'm gonna hear it for that. I know I'm gonna hear it for that, aren't I? I know I'm gonna hear it from someone. Midnight Black says, "How you say this in English? Fuck off, Sony." Yeah, and that's the thing, like I said, I know, and that's what I'm here for, is to say that we don't know. Midnight Black, welcome to the live stream. I don't think I've ever seen you here on my show, but thank you for being here. Again, we don't know that any of this is true, and again, if it is, for one. And let that be said too. For one, it won't come as a surprise that Sony decided to do that. We've seen in the past that Sony's not the best at making decisions when it comes to anything. You know what I mean? They're just not that good at it. Sure. Well, you know what Sony's biggest thing has always been is like they take somebody else's product and improve it. You know what I mean? That's what they do. They just take somebody else's product and they improve upon it. That's really what they do. And we can see that they haven't done that. We can see that they haven't done that with their movies. We can see they haven't done that with their movies. Um, oh man, I'll check it. Okay, Daddy. Curtis says, and welcome Curtis to the live stream. Andrew was good though. I agreed. I liked the actor playing the role. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I think a lot of like the actors who have played these roles of Spider-Man have been good. Just the different things that have gone on in the just in the movies is really what the problem ends up being. It's the storytelling, because you can go like, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says about Spider-Man 3, Sam Raimi, Spider-Man, all this stuff being trash. Okay, for one, if somebody's telling you that, they're full of crap and don't know what they're talking about. Sam Raimi and Bill Pope, if you don't know who these guys are, go check them out. There's some people. And you put these two dudes together, making a movie, they're phenomenal. Okay, go check out the movies that they've done together and tell me that Sam Raimi and Bill Pope can't make just great movies. Spider-Man 3 is probably the worst example that you can find out there, but even go back there and watch that movie, and I want you to pick the cinematics apart for me. Show me what's bad in there. I mean, maybe some CGI at best, because Sam Raimi is a guy who likes using practical effects, but Sam Raimi and Bill Pope, I'm telling you, put those two dudes together, somebody says their movie sucks, you have no clue what you're talking about. You're probably just somebody who likes watching movies. You're probably not any sort of actually who can legitimately critique a film or criticize a film like a film critic. Okay, like at one point I used to do that stuff. Like, I didn't even have a YouTube channel. I didn't write blogs about it back in the day. Like, I literally used to go and watch every single movie that was on at the movie theater just to do it because I like movies, and that's what I did. As I'm watching, I mean, like, for me, it's an art form. A lot of people look at it as entertainment and stuff like that. Movies for me are an art form, and movies are an art form, and people out there will argue that all day long as well. But that's the thing with some of that stuff. Drawn Draper says at the Senate, yeah, I know my man Second Street Marvel ain't their biggest fan. Bounding in the comics is pretty trashy. Yeah, and like I said, I don't mean that completely bad. It's just when it comes to certain stories that there's just things out there they're clickbaiting. And obviously I've seen that they're playing to a certain niche of people, to a certain group of people. But that's any publication. Any publication out there does that. You know what I mean? Most every single publication out there does that. They have a particular group of people that they are catering their content to. And that's, it's just a smart business decision to make anyway, because not every publication out there, like People magazine doesn't appeal to everybody, but people, whether they like it or not, still go to People magazine for stories and things like that, because it's a big publication that's been around for a long time, and they don't necessarily cater to anybody in particular, because they don't necessarily just talk about superhero movies or just films or just politics. They just cater to a wide range of things. Whereas if you've got a YouTube channel, you're a content creator, or you've seen other YouTube channels and content creators, typically everybody has something specific they talk about. Like, for instance, my boy Drunk 3PO, who we're going to be on their live stream here in a little while. He's more of a Star Wars guy. Occasionally he talks about some other stuff, but he's a Star Wars guy. That's what a bulk of his content is. So that's what he concentrates on, and that's just the same thing with all these publications. So as far as I'm being trashy, I don't know, because I haven't went through and read enough of their articles. I just know what I have read of theirs, and it ultimately ends up being the same kind of stuff. It's not trash. It's just I can't really take them seriously. With a lot of their news. So let's see. Man, we're pretty busy in here today. Let's see. Where am I at here? Is that an absolute carnage? Okay, we're talking next Spider-Man or not. Mookie Lives Matter, Second Street. What other comics sites trigger you that I need to know, man? None of them really, because the thing is that's it for me. Like, it's not that I'm triggered. It's just that when I go, I know clickbait news when I see one. You know what I mean? I know the sites who are out there known for being clickbait or not being the reputable sources that we need for the content that I need to consume. The only reason I'm gonna go to Bounding Into Comics is if somebody refers to them of somebody who broke a story, because I could guarantee you I'm gonna go to their site, read the story, and find out that this was actually something that came from another site. And that's what I'm saying. You're gonna go find a lot of these other clickbait sites who, and like I said, if you guys know my views on clickbaiting isn't a bad thing. It's what everybody has to do. But you're going to go out there and you're going to find that these people lead back to another source. And maybe it's a Variety magazine. Maybe it's a Deadline. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. And sometimes some of these places actually do get exclusive interviews with some of these directors. Some of the, sometimes at times they do get a bone thrown their way. I guess sometimes they get a bone thrown their way. So that's ultimately what it comes down to. Is and believe me, I've thrown enough shade at like We Got This Covered and stuff like that. Because I mean, if you can go to We Got This Covered right now and you can see their website's just a bunch of just clickbait. You know what I mean? Like there's not one article I've ever read on that site that I could take seriously. Like I couldn't ever like get to the end of one without laughing. Just because I don't take them seriously. They're just writing stories. Like I said, there's just no. They're not really like true journalists. They're just nerds out there writing stuff. And sometimes I think they're literally just writing stuff. Spider-Man's always in space and shit, right? The Senate is it is my favorite story featuring Eddie Brock other than the Truth in Journalism short film. All right. DC has some great animated movies. Honestly hoped so much for the DECU. However, currently DCU is garbage. Yeah, and again, I like, I've really only watched the DC movies. I haven't watched any of the animated movies or anything like that. I just really don't have time for most of that. Give him Star Wars 2 for who are we talking about? Kevin Feige? Yeah. Let him be in charge of everything. I made fun of that on one of my trailer park news videos one day. And if you guys didn't check my trailer park news video from yesterday, go check it out, man. I got in there and just got a little bit silly with stuff. And that's what I like to do on those. Just kind of going out there and making fun of all this clickbaity news that there is out there. And I don't know, it's just a good time. And I don't take myself too seriously, man. And when you hear me talking trash about some of these people, again, I'm not saying that they're not putting in work, man. They work, I'm sure they're out there working hard and this and that. I'm not trying to trash the work that they're doing. I'm just saying, know the difference between your clickbait and what's actual reputable news. They did show Tom Holland's Doug Liman movie. I can't remember the name of that, but I know what you're talking about. God, was that the one that was? Oh man, I can't remember what the name of that movie was. Because there was somebody else in that movie too, I believe, if I remember correctly. CNN can go down and fire their mentally handicapped. The Senate, 8 more days, brother. 8 more days. Don Draper says, yeah, Drew Goddard created Daredevil Season 1 for Netflix, went to Sony's Sinister Six movie, and then they rebooted. He turned down MCU Spider-Man reboot because of creative freedom. And that's completely understandable, because we can see the same thing happened with Edgar Wright in the Ant-Man movie. And I can tell you, I absolutely love the Ant-Man movie in the MCU. And there's absolutely no way I would not ever want to see Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. I would have definitely rather seen Edgar Wright's Ant-Man than Peyton Reed's. And they still use the same script and all that stuff. So, again, a lot of that was due to the work that Edgar Wright put in. And Edgar Wright is phenomenal. Same thing with Drew Goddard. And so I get it with the creative freedom thing. War Stew, welcome to the live stream. Again, this is the second time you've been here today, buddy. But he says Deadline is a big publication. And that's the thing I'm saying. Deadline is a big publication. They make no doubt about it. They're a big publication. That's why I say, for the most part, they're a reputable source, somebody you can look to for the truth. But in this particular instance, you go and read that article, they have no sources listed. They got it from some source. They just got it from the source. And like I said, my next door neighbor, who knows absolutely nothing about the MCU, he's a source. I could go over there to ask him what he thinks about it, and he could just give me something. I could just come here and write an article and be like, oh, well, my source says, he's my inside source. He's inside his house. And ultimately, when it comes down to some of these publications, that's what it comes down to, man. Plain and simple. I mean, and you can't say that it's not. It's the truth. But again, they are reputable. They've got a reputation to uphold, and they've never really been ones that I've known to clickbait like that. But we have seen in the past where some of these publications have been wrong about some of these stories. So again, they do have a reputation. They are one of the bigger ones. So that's why I say I'd normally trust them, but in this one I can't trust them necessarily, because they don't have a source. They didn't list anybody that they officially talked to. So that's just like my friend works at Marvel Studios, and he tells me something that happened in the office one day, just some inner office drama, and all of a sudden I make a video about it, and everybody's gonna run with it, like, just because my friend works for Marvel Studios. You know what I mean? That's what it ultimately comes down to here. The sentence says, "No, I refuse to marry Sue. Reject the hypothesis." Yeah, and again, I'm just naming people out there. It's not anything in particular. After clickbaiters, yeah, and again, clickbaiting. There's nothing wrong with clickbaiting. Sony rep response though. They did respond. I didn't see any response. Like I said, before I even got on here and looked at it, I was looking for Sony's response. I got on, and I got on the website and stuff like that. So let's see. I mean, has Sony said anything here? Let's go. I'm on Twitter, and you guys know how Twitter is. So you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Again, the only thing I see from Sony on here is that they're re-releasing the Spider-Man once again, and that's something people should definitely, be upset about, because you know what's funny is I was actually wanting to go see Spider-Man Far From Home at the theater again, and then next thing you know, they're re-releasing it at the movie theater with this bonus footage. And I'm like, man, now I feel like I don't even want to go see it at the theater again, because they're doing this crap with this new movie, putting this extra 4 minutes in there, and then it's like I'm supporting that, and it's making it like the studio's like, oh hey, they're into this, and I didn't go watch Endgame when they re-released it, and now that they're doing this with Spider-Man, I just don't want to go out and support that. Just put it on the damn DVD. It's going to be coming out soon. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that anybody out there has to not go out there and support it, or to go out there and support it, but you know what, guys? This is absolutely ridiculous, and I can guarantee you almost everybody will agree with that. Re-releasing this crap, it should have just been in the movie in the first place. So I, for one, can tell you I'm not going to go out and watch Spider-Man Far From Home with this new cut footage in it. But you know what? It's a Discount Tuesday. Maybe I'll take my kids and we'll go watch it as soon as I'm done here, and we'll just go watch that. We'll just go watch that stuff again, because, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that they would do that. And again, I mean, just because if I go and see it again once they re-release this information, people are going to be sitting there, like the studio's like, oh hey, everybody went and seen it with the re-release. That must mean people like this and we want to see it. I mean, they'll probably reason that anyway. Don Draper says, bounding into comics tends to lead to nerdrotic or doomcock, but they are plugged into the fandom menace YouTubers, so they get a lot of traction. Well, of course, like I said, they've got a niche of people that they're talking to, and that's what I'm saying. It's CNN, it's Fox News, it's no different, except for much smaller. They got to be making a Sinister Six film if they're doing this. They got to. Sony probably has no clue what they're doing, and that's why I'm saying I don't know that there's any truth to this whatsoever. For that reason, the sentence says, I've only seen a few articles from them because Geeks and Gamers covered them. Who covered? I wouldn't know. I don't follow Geeks and Gamers. I don't. I couldn't tell you. So you got me there. Ryan Kendall, welcome to the live stream. Thank you for being here. He says, if the story is true, it doesn't mean negotiations are over. I would be shocked if Disney lets us get away from them. Exactly, and that's exactly my point. Ryan is I don't doubt that the story is true, but I question its validity at this point until we hear some sort of official word. And even like Warstu said, they are a pretty reputable source. The deadline has been in the past, so I don't want to look into that too much. Let me see. Is there see if there's any new stories here trending now. I just don't see anything. Spider-Man fans are pondering Uncle Ben's fate. Latest Sony news. I don't see anything from actual Sony. So Warstu was saying that Sony responded though, but I haven't seen it. I mean, if you guys got that, feel free to send that to me. I'll check it out and do a video on that or a live stream. Maybe I'll talk about it in the live stream tomorrow morning. Gotta get that beta, get it right. Listen, I hope so. Bring Goddard back on board. Yeah, and you know what? They should. And that's kind of what I feel too. Even with like the X-Men properties getting in, they bought Fox. I always think that they should take some of those people that they had there, that were in place and bring them over because they've already got experience in doing this. So, but at the same time, I realize how they might want to just trash everything and start all over again too. It's just some decisions they need to be. He says, "No, I'll find you on Second Street." They must get that Sinister Six film. Clickbait news. Nerdy Blurb TV says, "Welcome to the live stream." And Nerdy Blurb TV, if you guys haven't been to Nerdy Blurb TV, definitely go check out his channel. You can find it should be in the link of this video in the description. Go check out his channel. He's the man who did this magnificent intro that I use in all of my videos. Such an awesome channel. Definitely some cool stuff. One of my favorite content creators. Definitely the best editor on YouTube. And you know what? Even all those other channels out there that have multiple people working for their channel, this dude puts them to shame, yo. This dude puts them to shame. Go and check him out. Fake news, baby! Sony creates the greatest comic book movie of all time with Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, agreed. I love Into the Spider-Verse, but again, comic book movie, we're splitting hairs here. We're splitting hairs because it's not necessarily a movie. I mean, it's a movie, but it's not a live action movie. I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about where this all falls all together. But I thought Into the Spider-Verse is absolutely a great movie. It's definitely a great movie for what it is. Definitely one of the better movies that we've had in a while. Man, I'm way behind here, man. You guys are really going at it today. You guys are really going at it. Man. Whew, man, I got people on here I haven't even seen before, y'all. Thank you all for being here. Let's see, where can we go to? We can agree comicbook.com is the absolute worst. Real talk. Yeah, you know what? And it seems like comicbook.com used to be one of those sources who was a bigger one who was actually pretty good. But I've noticed in the past few months, it seems like they've just they've went down like the clickbait gutter, man. It seems like they just dove right into that stuff, dude. I just don't know what's going on with them. James Lally was looking forward to seeing, and welcome to the live stream, James. I don't think I've ever seen you here as well. Was looking forward to seeing where Spider-Man art goes now after they released this. His bind. I'm not sure what you're saying there, but I am looking forward to see where this Spider-Man arc was going to be going in the movies. And like I said, I don't think they're done with. I think there's still going to be a third film in the MCU, regardless of anything, of any of this news. Because like I said, they had contracts that they worked out initially in the first place, and sure, part of that might have been, the thing it had to make $1 billion for them to do another one and all that stuff. Very well could be, but again, like I said at the beginning of the stream, Sony was the people who put the money into the marketing of this movie. So if they wanted all of those rights not given to Kevin Feige through whatever deal making $1 billion, they wouldn't have went and pushed so hard with this movie. They're the ones who went out and marketed it. So when I heard that story, it just kind of made me think, where's the real truth here? And without us actually, we're all just fans here. We're all just fans speculating on this stuff. Without us actually being in the boardrooms, without us actually seeing the contracts, we have no clue what's going on. And then it says, never heard of them. We'll check them out. To watch Mahler's podcast, more than his reviews, though. I've never heard of Mahler's podcast. Russell Benjamin says, bro, make time for the DC animated films. They are edgy and adult friendly. Here's a few to start with. Flashpoint, Paradox, Batman, The Killing Joke, and Son of Batman. And I've heard that, too. I've heard that the animated films over there at DC are actually really good. I just don't have time for all that, man. Right now, as it is, I barely have time to get out to the movie theater to watch some of the movies that I want to get out to see. And there's a lot of movies out right now I still haven't been to see that I want to see. Sony's Twitter is hilarious right now. What a bunch of idiots. I don't even want to go check right now because I can imagine there's probably hashtag F Sony. There's probably all kinds of people that are just out there completely over exaggerating this story that has absolutely at this point no real how would you say, there's no real truth to it yet. We don't know. Okay, his identity. After the release of his identity. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, James. I think, even with all that stuff we got, we're going to get that third movie in the MCU. I can almost guarantee that. I have not a doubt in my mind that we're going to be getting at least one more. The Senate says, I can never get to morning streams. I'm always taking a shower or getting ready for high school. Well, that's okay, man. That's all right. No big deal, man. I just kind of do it. That's really the only time I had to do that in the morning, is at that time. Closest to the comics. Okay, yeah. And like I said, I just don't have time for a lot of that animated stuff. I wish I did though. My kids would probably like it if they're kid friendly. But I let my kids watch that kind of stuff anyway. Would you? I would like to see the charts and data proving Sony to be the closest to the comics. Oh, as far as like the closest to the comics as far as their movies are concerned, yeah, certainly. Because like I said, the MCU one's close to the comics, but like if you're looking at Dan Slott's run, where he had Parker Industries, he had all the tech built into his suits and all that stuff. I mean, sure, there's that there. Tom Holland, Doug Liman movie was called Chaos Walking, and it had and it had Daisy Ridley, right, yeah. I remember hearing that they had put that on hold, so a shame, because I mean. It could have been a good movie. Aggressively Relaxing. If you guys haven't checked out Aggressively Relaxing, go check out his channel. Great stuff. I think Marvel had Sony playing hardball, and they wanted to give them a taste of the backlash. Yes. And yeah, absolutely. And we know that Kevin Feige does that too. He goes that he seems like a nice guy, but he's out there, dude. He's like a Mike Tyson out there in this field of movie producers and stuff like that, man. He's definitely the one hitter quitter stuff, dude. He just come like, oh, DC, yeah, we wanted to do well. Boom, he comes and he drops a slate of movies that just knocks him back another 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, he definitely likes to play hardball, and he definitely wants to see them on their back foot. So yeah, I wouldn't doubt that aggressively. Please do the. They had the best Last Jedi review and brought up things that everyone else missed. Again, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but is that the? I know you guys were talking about something about that a minute ago. I may have to go check that out. I bet they roasted the hell out of it. We'll have to check out their review. The sentence says Kevin Feige's probably shitting in his pants and pouting right now. He's probably not, because like Aggressively Relaxing said, they probably did that all on purpose. They're probably just, man, like, hey, let's do this. Let's see. They brought up the faults before Mahler did, and they explained how Rey's lineage would never have fixed the main problems they had with Rey. I'm not really big into the Star Wars stuff. I mean, basically after The Last Jedi came out and everybody was upset about it, that's kind of when I figured out, like, man, I like Star Wars, but apparently I don't like Star Wars that much. It doesn't mean that much to me. To fight and bicker or have to defend the movie or anything in any kind of way when it comes down to that. The sentence says, I love hearing people's takes. When I walked out of the theater of that movie, I was red in the face and I'm black. Right? That's funny. Sony's getting the heat right now. Oh, they are. And you know what? And like I said, that could be Marvel Studios saying, hey, you take some of that backlash that we're getting a lot of, Sony. As if Sony don't get enough of their own backlash in the first place. But yeah, it easily could be. The second says, second street. This is the question that determines if we are good at. Do you like Spectacular Spider-Man, the TV show and comic? Honestly, I don't watch TV shows. And I haven't for a while. I mean, there's some I've watched. I mean, I managed to choke down the Netflix Marvel stuff, and that was hard enough to do. As far as the comic, I mean, it's really hard to say. There's so many different Spider-Mans out there, but the particular one you're talking about is Spectacular Spider-Man, and I'm not sure if that's. No, I think I've got the last few issues of the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man of the recent run, and I mean, they were okay. They just happened to tie into like the Spider-Geddon event, towards the end of last year. But to me, my favorite was always was Amazing Spider-Man. And before that, when I was a kid, it was the Web of Spider-Man. I like those. Just more of the classic tales. Alpha Proto, welcome to the live stream. He said, I had a feeling this was Sony's plan from the start. Piggyback on the MCU to get Spider-Man movies in good graces, then take over from there. And you're absolutely right. And I think that was kind of part of their original deal in the first place. When they started, I think they kind of knew that they needed something to be done right, and to get get it out there, and what better way than to get it associated with the MCU and have Kevin Feige, who has had so much success. So why not play ball with him? And that only begs to question is why not keep playing ball with him? Now, obviously, letting Venom into the universe or just them giving like a whole lot of total control over him would be absolutely ridiculous. But I've heard people talking about like, oh, are they going to buy Spider-Man from Sony Pictures, or are they going to buy the Incredible Hulk from God, who is it who owns that? It's not Universal. Is it? I can't remember who has control of that. But I think it is Universal who has. I think it's Universal who has Hulk. They're not going to get rid of him. And if they did, it would be for a lot of money because they've got the property. All they got to do is play ball every now and again. They have absolutely zero reason to sell that character because it's worth so much. And the money that they would want to ask for it, I don't think Disney is in the place right now to be giving out that kind of money for these intellectual properties back. They just don't. With the Fox acquisition and just so much of the stuff they're doing right now, they just don't have the money to play with in that sort of way right now. And you got to remember, anybody out there could probably argue like, oh, they got all the money in the world. They've got a lot of money, but you got to remember they've got investors. They're a publicly traded company. They've got investors, stockholders that their absolute goal for their stockholders, their obligation to their stockholders is to make money. Period. Bottom line. That's it. They have to make money for their stockholders, and that's what they're all about, no matter what way they do it. And if they're at a point right now where they spent so much money, they've got to dial it back, and they can't be spending money like crazy out there, just spending a bunch of money just for a character. I don't think they can justify it. Let's see. He says, what's your favorite Spider-Man comic right now? There's probably 5 of them. I did a video about that a while back. I think right now my favorite one that's out there, like ongoing series, would probably have to be Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It's been a pretty good, like Tom Taylor, the way he's wrote that character, he's got him really grounded. He has him being more of a classic Peter Parker character. I've absolutely loved what he's done with that character. Let me see here. Let me see. Where can we go? Let me see here. Give me just a second here. Conversation. Let's just start. I don't exactly know how to do this. Let me see here. Where can we go? Video call. Let me see. Link to share. Give me just a second here, Fatal. Let me see what I can do for you here, man. Messages. Let's see where we at. Fatal. You should be getting a message in just a second there. There you go, Fatal. It's on your Twitter. If you want to get in here and we can talk about that. So yeah. So if you want to get on there and do that. Now let me see. Where did my chat go now? I have to do that. All right, sorry about this, folks. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, Tom. People like Tom Holland. I think he's the best going to end up like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. What's up, dude? Give me just a second here, and let's let me get this all on screen here. I think we've got a guest here with us, folks.
Hi.
Let me see here. Let's go ahead and get right there and see if that works out. There we go. Fatal J, welcome to the live stream. Thank you for being here.
What's up, man?
Not much. How's it going?
You laughed at me, man.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? I got something messed up here on my stuff for people to. I don't know if anybody can hear you quite yet. This one. This one goes right. There we go. Ooh. Yeah. All right. Okay. Can everybody hear Jay?
Can they see me?
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say there's probably a little bit of lag there from that. Oh, this okay. Do I got that in the right spot? No, not that one.
Hey
This one.
everybody, I just
And
want to let y'all know. I said this. Go and Second Street Marvel laughed at me.
what's that?
He laughed at me when I said they was gonna pull a Spider Man.
Yeah, man. Oh, man. Sorry, I'm covering up your face there. Yeah, and again, I see this story, and to me, it's just there's so much in this story. Like this publication put this out there, and again, they've been pretty respectable in the past, but I just don't know how seriously I can take this news. What do you think about all this?
um, I mean, I just seen it in the writing because if you ever look at the films, some didn't add up because you would look at Mary Jane, she was a different color. You would look at Aunt May.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt May was a young woman, and a lot of people was thinking, okay, Marvel is doing the SJW stuff, but no, it was deeper than that.
Right.
It's contractual stuff. I'm gonna give you an example. Anybody who watched Star Trek, Star Trek is doing that right now. It's two Star Trek universes going on. It's a show called Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Discovery can't use stuff like with Captain Kirk back in the day. They can't use certain uniforms. They
Mm-hmm.
can't wear certain symbols. And that's the same thing that was going on with the Spider-Man universe that was with Marvel. The thing about it is, Sony, they was using the Marvel Spider-Man to boost him back up after Amazing Spider-Man, and then they were gonna snatch him back because with the Venom movies, they wasn't really expecting that movie to do so good. That
Right.
movie really did a good job. So now what they doing, they're gonna do like I call it the SCU. They're gonna start a Spider-Man cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know right now they're developing a Morbius
Right.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
Morbius is one of Spider-Man villains.
Yeah, and they have creative control over. I mean, they still own plenty of characters.
Yeah,
With what they own through Spider-Man, so they definitely have a universe of their own. I mean, they have a definite bargaining chip for all of this kinds of stuff. I do want to say, Alpha Proto here says, I heard the reason the MCU Spider-Man characters were different from the comic was so Sony could have them as original creations. As long as they change the character 25%, they keep them. And I remember hearing a lot of that stuff in the past as well. Just having to change some of the characters. I mean, just kind of like what you're talking about, where they can't exactly be the same version that they've had in the past in some of their, basically what they've had in the past in their movies. They've got to change it up.
yeah. Can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, what was
Okay.
happening was I didn't have you plugged in for the sound there.
Oh no, I just plugged in a
Oh,
mic, and I
oh,
was
okay.
just seeing if I sound all right.
Yeah, you sound good. And yeah, as far as the other the Senate Superior Spider-Man, the Superior Spider-Man comic book right now is pretty good. I like what they do with that character Otto Octavius as a Superior Spider-Man. Works out
Yeah,
really great.
they put Doc Ock into Peter Parker's body, right? His conscious.
Well, at this point he's just a clone. At this point
Oh, okay.
he's a clone, but he created a clone body. But yeah, he's Elliot Tolliver is who he's known as.
Well, see, I used to collect hard in the '90s, and I
Hmm.
remember they had that concept around that time where they put Doc Ock conscious inside of Spider-Man's body, and I
Hmm.
thought that was pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of where the character is at right now. Let's see. We got Stu Jersey X. I think the fans know what's up though, and those Sony numbers for Spider-Man would be much lower now if they stay out of the MCU. And yeah, I highly agree there, Stu Jersey X. And welcome to the live stream, by the way. Um, your
What's up, Sandy?
your information on Disco is incorrect, Fatal. I must have missed something there.
Yeah, you always do that to me, man.
Senate says, yeah, Red Dan Slot Superior Spider-Man. That was damn good. Yeah, and that's the Superior Spider-Man I haven't read. I actually intend to want to go back and buy the trades on that so I can check that out. Um, But again,
You
oh,
know,
Dance, how does that
Second
go?
Street, man, I've been getting back in the comics, and
Mm-hmm.
I always been like a Ninja Samurai guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Perry Comics put me on to a comic called Grandpa Samurai. Have you read that yet?
I haven't. I haven't. I believe on an indie label, I believe.
Yeah, I got to check that out, man, because I was looking at the preview pages.
Mm-hmm.
It looked pretty dope, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I think I've seen that the same one where he was talking about that, man. And if you guys haven't, if you guys don't know who Perry Comics is, go follow his channel because he's
Oh
been
yeah,
doing these really great videos at night where he goes, they call it the lurkers. He's out there and lurking on YouTube, and you know, if you're a comic book YouTuber or you know he stumbles across other channels as well, he's out there kind of helping promote channels and everything out there, just going through and just going through channels with people as just through a live stream. It's dope.
yeah, it's awesome, man. Y'all got to check him out.
And plus, he's a cool dude too. I mean, you watch the videos. I mean, he just seems like one of the coolest dudes that there is out there, and just he's a funny dude to watch.
Hey, I'm reading a comic book right now. I don't know why I've been reading so much Ninja Turtles, but I'm reading Shredder in Hell, and man, that comic book is mind blowing.
Huh? No, I
Oh
haven't
man,
heard of
it's
him.
sick, man. It's 3 issues, and the Shredder. Y'all know the Shredder from Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
He going through a whole journey in hell, man.
Huh?
Now you know the Ninja Turtles is all kitty type stuff.
Right.
So just imagine reading about Shredder in hell. You
Right.
know?
The says I have to go now. Have to feed siblings and my huge German Shepherd. All right, fair enough, man. Take it easy, and again, everybody, we're probably only going to go for a few more minutes here, because as you well know, getting ready to come up here in just a few minutes is going to be some black guys and a drunk. Me and Jay happen to be part of the panel over there. It's a very good thing on Drunk 3PO's channel where we just kind of get together and talk about some of the topics that have been going on in movie news, just regular news, Twitter news, all kinds of different things. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about some pretty good stuff tonight, and we will talk more about this exact subject on that show as well, I'm sure, and we'll be getting more people's perspective on it coming up on that show, so you guys should definitely head over to Drunk 3PO's channel and check that out. I'll see if I can get a link to put down there in the comments for you all to go and find his channel and check that out.
Yes, sir. Are we still online?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, you can go ahead if you got anything that you got to say about this. Let's
Oh
hear
yeah,
your
man.
thoughts
Now you
about
know
it.
I'm a talker.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I just think it's cool, man. I mean, if this turned out to be true, because like you said, we don't have 100% per source that this is going to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
if this does happen, I'm excited because Disney won't have the monopoly on all these superhero movies. I think the more competition, the better. I want to see DC do good. I want to see Sony do good. So Disney won't have pure control over everything, because if they have control, complete control over everything, we doomed when it comes to good movies, man. Because they can put any type of agenda.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
Agreed.
like you, man. I'm not gonna hate. I'm just gonna sit back, watch, and enjoy these movies. I might critique a few of them, but I'm not gonna hate, man.
Yeah, and and that's something I was talking about even this morning with people talking about that as far as like Disney owning all these properties and stuff like that, and them having this monopoly. The thing about a lot of that is they're not into making small independent films, so there's still going to be studios out there to make a lot of these films that we want to see as viewers. So again, it comes down to they've got a monopoly on certain IPs and certain franchises, and there's still plenty of stuff out there to go around, certainly.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But I'm trying to see if I can find a link to Drunk's channel here to let you guys know. And chances are, if you guys are here on my live stream, you guys probably know Drunk 3PO and know and probably have been on that show when we do that. But again, that is coming up here in about 20 minutes. So you guys should definitely make sure you check that out. It's going to be me, Fatal, Lonely Banter, Drunk 3PO. I believe Lord Callus is going to be there. I do happen to know that Dimogenai, he's actually I think he's going to be at work again this week through this show, so I don't think he's going to be there, or at least not at the beginning of the show anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
And
go
all you
ahead.
have to do is mention Star Wars, and Abu Nas pop up like a genie.
Yeah, and Abu
He'll be
Nas, yeah, hopefully he comes in. You know, he's you guys probably know who Abu Nas is. Man, he yeah, once you get started on the Star Wars, man, he just takes over. You can't even interrupt the dude. You can't even
yeah,
interrupt him.
yeah.
But again, I just dropped a link to some black guys in a drunk getting ready to come up here in about 20 minutes. It's just for you. No. Oh man, that's funny. I guess I went a little bit hard on that subject there at the very beginning. Again, I don't mean to throw any shade. I don't mean to throw any shade at anybody in particular. It's just for particular news stories when there's things like that breaking. I mean, there's reputable sources like a publication like Deadline is, whereas opposed to like Abounding into Comics, like a We Got This Covered, a comicbook.com these days. They're just not as reputable as a place like Deadline is. But for me, again, the Deadline thing is they don't list a source in this. There's nothing to substantiate that any of this is absolutely true.
Man, I want to thank you, bro, because when me and you first met, you used to kind of rag me a little bit about the clickbait, man. And I'm gonna tell you, when I used to before I did a video, I used to just see what caught my eye. But then when you started talking to me, man, I was like, dang, he right. This is clickbait.
Right. Well.
This stuff is not factual. This is made up stuff.
Mhm.
So now when I do a video, I'm kind of real careful now where I get my sources from, man.
Well, and for me, the thing is why I always like to tell people that is because what everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people seem to do is they go and they make their videos based on an article by like, oh, we got this covered, and like I said, it's they're a secondhand source of the information anyway. So then basically you're giving like third hand information, and it's basically how like if you've ever been in a room and given like if you go into a room with 10 people and say, okay, guys. I want you to write me down instructions on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and see exactly what you get out of that. You're gonna get some of the wildest answers out there. It's basically something you have to demonstrate that it's not just as easy as it sounds. So to me, it comes down to a lot of that is find out and track the exact source. Because if you're gonna just read an article from We Got This Covered, I mean they have a source out there, and it'd be better for you because all they're doing is giving their opinion on an article they read in most cases. And I would rather hear whoever I'm seeing or watching or anything like that, their opinion. And that's what some of those publications are for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to get my sources from Cosmic Book Wonder, Cosmic Book News.
Oh yeah, yes.
Are they legit or are they clickbait too?
They're kind of they're one of those ones that they're kind of out there like kind of like comicbook.com. I mean, I think occasionally they might get a breaking story, and that's the thing with a lot of these publications is occasionally some of them do actually have legitimate sources or do get a breaking news source. It's just I think a lot of times it's very few and far between.
Yeah, because I noticed sometimes they do hit, but a lot of times they miss.
Right. But yeah. And
What's up?
here's my
What's up,
source.
kiddos?
That's my source for breaking news right here. He tells me when something's true or not. I just say, hey Logan, is this story true or not? That's my source for inside news.
That's a future cyclist right there, man.
Right? Yeah. But anyway, I suppose we should probably go ahead and end this. Again, Fatal J, you got anything you want to let anybody else know about your channel? You got any content coming up or anything?
Nah, man, just support my friend, Second Street Marvel. His comic content is awesome. I don't know why he not at 1 million subscribers, but he'll get there. Trust me. He too good, man.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Like I said, one of the things I don't do is go out there and do all that clickbaity stuff. I mean, I'm just trying to build a solid following, and I think the numbers are kind of showing slowly. It's just been kind of slowly building up, and a lot of that is due to, thanks to Drunk 3PO, bringing me on his show, getting me a little more exposure, bringing me some of the viewers that I have in my live stream right now. I've been lucky to come across some really great content creators and been able to collaborate with them and get them onto the show, and I want to bring more people onto onto the show, just like you right now, having you here is definitely something that helps bring me more quality to my channel, because I've got more opinions, because so many times I'm on here giving my own opinion when I know there's other people out there who can bring just a different view, and that's something that I think Drunk 3PO has managed to do for a lot of us as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's a good guy.
Definitely, definitely. Very, very cool. Again, thank you for being here, Jay. Again, thank you to everybody who has been here on this live stream, down in the comments and everything like that. I truly do appreciate all of you guys showing up every time you show up to hear me flap my gums about a bunch of nonsense. Again, you guys are pretty much the lifeblood of my channel, and I do thank you all so much for being here. Again, I did drop a link down in the description, and I'll put that in the description on this video too, but put it here in the comments. Go check out Drunk 3PO and that stream that's getting ready to come up in about 20 minutes. I think we're all going to have a very good time tonight. We've got a lot of several topics we're going to be talking about over there. I hope to see you all there, and I'm sure some of you we will. And again, thank you, Jay, so much for being on the show. I truly do appreciate you.
No problem, my
And
friend.
hopefully here soon I will be having some more great guests like Jay. And again, go check out Drunk 3PO's channel. And again, I hope you all are having a very good day. Thank you for being at this live stream, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.
Peace.